So in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact framework that helped me to earn more than 100,000 in 2 years from social media when I was a financial advisor, and also have done a lot more for many other advisors out there as well. Okay, so hi guys, what is up? If you're new to this channel, my name is Benjamin and I'm the CEO of 2XYC. I have created this channel because there's a lot of financial advisors out there that are either broke or making tons of money but yet unhappy, right? And I just hope that some of these lessons that I've learned will be able to help you become happier, purposeful, and wealthy as a financial advisor. Because of all the problems and everything else that we have in the last couple of years, which is basically COVID, right? Many traditional prospecting methods has kind of vanished. People have to go on social media, and a lot of advisors that go on social media, they go on it because they see other people do it, and then they think that, okay, cool, this is the new way of doing things, and then they start to post a ton of content out there, right? With the hopes of getting passive inquiries or leads. The challenge with that is that it's a few fold, right? The first one is a lot of these people, when go on social media or advisors go on social media, maybe you don't know what to post. Maybe kind of posting random content that doesn't get them any prospects, even if you're posting consistently, or maybe kind of blindly modeling other people's content. That's the worst thing that you can ever do, to be honest, model or copy other people's content in a sense, which I explained about. Or maybe they kind of post content for the sake of getting more followers, right? Because the equation in their head is more followers equal to more leads. Or the worst is that their own followers feels cringy about their posts, alright, or feel like it's a total turn off because previously they follow advisors, maybe they follow you because you are a friend of theirs, and then all your content is about personal life, and then after that, once you become an advisor, it becomes about insurance, CPF, whatever it is, 101, investment, compound interest, and whatnot. Okay, so when you have all these problems that comes out, obviously the next, of course, one big one is that social media used to be a blue ocean idea. Right now is getting raided because a ton of advisors are going up there, right? So with all these challenges and problems, it decreases the effectiveness of quote-unquote the attraction game, right? And really have asymmetric returns when you put in so much effort, but then you get little output. Okay, so this is why I'm going to share with you a social media framework that I personally use as an advisor that really help to earn a ton of money and get a lot more passive leads. And hopefully you can get the same results too as well. The goal here with this framework is to really get people to reach out to you, whether it's on your comments, whether on your posts or on your DMs and everything else, right? So that's kind of the main goal here, right? And before anyone does that, right, usually there are 5 questions in their heads that you need to answer, and it's just 5, right? And each of these questions have to be answered in the form of your social media content. I repeat, there are 5 questions that your prospect has before they reach out to you. And in order for you to answer these questions, it will be through the form of your social media content. Literally just that simple. And the more times you answer those questions, the faster and higher the chance that they'll reach out to you. Okay, so let's dive deep into it. So the first question that the prospects have in their heads is, can they trust that your work is valued by others? That's the first thing. That's the first question that they ask, right? And the reason for that is because you can seem like an expert, talk about investment, post a lot of content about Rule of 72 and all that stuff. But the truth is humans still require proof that you are really good, right? Lots of them, testimonials and whatnot, right? Otherwise, we can just come up with someone that is really just good at talking. And the thing is you just can't self-praise yourself and say that you're good, right? Because, it doesn't work that way, huh? You really need others to praise you for that. And therefore, what you really want to answer that question is start with T, right? So basically, you need a ton of testimonials, okay? A ton of testimonials. This is super crucial because at the end of the day, what people really need is social proof. Really need proof for it, right? So there's just a couple of things that you need to really nail down this testimonial post. So when you post testimonial, the first thing is that you need a legitimate evidence or proof. This could be any form. It could be a video testimonial that your client took for you. It could be audio. It could be they type out a message on WhatsApp, they send to you and whatnot, or Telegram or whatever it is. You can just screenshot that and that will be the proof, right? And maybe it's a picture of you and your client together and whatnot. Now, the mistake is that a lot of people will tend to go on Canva and then write out their own testimonial and then just put by Benjamin Ong and then director or blah blah blah, and then they just post it as a testimonial, right? That will not be the most effective because at the end of the day, you need proof. That is not proof. Anyone can just go to Canva and just create those things, right? You need proof. And therefore, you need something that literally your clients have given you, right? So, of course, then you'll be worried about PNC, you worry about the uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole different story, but you probably want to get their consent anyways from your clients or your whoever it is that give you a testimonial. And then if they are not comfortable with putting their face out there and whatnot, what you can potentially do is still, let's say for example, take a WhatsApp screenshot, right? You screenshot the entire thing, you post it there, and then what happens is that you just blur out the names and then the contact or like the profile picture or whatnot, right? So at least it's not 100% credible because you still can fake it, but at least it gives the idea and have a higher perceived value that your testimonial is not fake, right? You're just hiding out because, people feel uncomfortable for it, right? So that's kind of like how people perceive it in their heads. But obviously, if you can have someone that really just says that, hey, Adrian is my financial advisor, he helped me with ABC, he's amazing, please check him out, yada yada, and stuff like that, then that's the best kind of proof. The first thing you need is proof, right? Let me write out. First thing you need here is proof. The second thing that you need to do is, you cannot just put the proof there, right? The second thing is, you need to put it into you need to write it in a format of pre, during, and post. So what happens is that you need to write out your client's journey in a pre, during, and post format, right? So it could be something like, before I met Ryan, I didn't know much about investments or blah, 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 right? Or you can put it in third party point of view, which is like, okay, before I met Ryan, Ryan didn't know anything about financial planning. Ryan only knew about ABC, right? And what happens is that during our process, we did A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And blah, 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 help him to get ABC as well. After that, he get a lot of clarity. He's a better investor. He knows how to save his money. He knows how to blah, blah, blah. And he's on track to getting $500 a month in passive income for his first milestone, right? So that's like before, during, after, right? Pre, during, post. So you want to write it in a format. Now, so a lot of advisors don't do that, right? They just quote the client's words and then they just put it there. But I can tell you that's not effective at all. Purely because, right, at the end of the day, a testimonial with the proof and then the words to it, right, is only as good as its relevance to the reader. So if your reader doesn't feel that it's relatable, right? Because you see, most of the testimonials are like, oh, blah, 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 advisor was very nice, very pleasant, wasn't pushy, really enjoy it, thank you so much. Like, if I'm the reader and I'm your potential prospect, I am unable to relate, right? Relate to this prospect or like to this client or feel like they are good. So it needs to be relevant and relatable. So the way to for a reader to feel that way is to write a pre, during, post, because then you are going through your client's experience, their emotion, their circumstances, their situation, and everything else. And as a prospect, as a reader, I'll be like, oh my God, that's kind of like similar to me too. That's how I feel too. I can resonate with that. And when someone can resonate with that, then there's a higher chance that they'll be like, oh my God, like since you can help that person who is like me solve this problem, then it means, or it by default implies that you're able to help me too. Right? So that's kind of like why, in a testimonial, you need to first have proof, and second, you want to have pre, during, post format. Okay? So that's the first one. Right? Now, the second question that I have in their heads is, do you know your shit? Do you know, pardon language, but like, do you know your shit? Like, does this person knows his or her stuff when it comes to financial planning? And this is super crucial because a lot of people can like you, they can trust you even as a best friend or a family member, but it's still not nearly enough when it comes to the topic of ching money. Okay, so people need to know and understand and assess whether are you an expert or at least perceived as one, right? And whether can they rely on your knowledge and skill sets to handle their money. Because think about it, if somebody is transferring if you are transferring and putting like tens of thousands of dollars into a policy or even investment, you don't want to make sure that the person handling knows their shit, right? Like you probably want to, even though this person can be your best friend, but you might not want to place 50,000 in this person if he or she doesn't even know how to invest or like know much about financial planning, right? So you want to trust someone that really knows their stuff. Therefore, this brings to the next one, right? In order to answer that question, the next thing you want to do is what we call an expertise post. So an expertise content, an expertise post is usually about valuable information assets where you share insights, expertise, thought leaderships, and helping your audience answer a problem that they have. The easiest is what we call, the easiest framework for it is always like a PS, right? A problem solution kind of like post. So in essence, what it means is on your Instagram, Facebook, whatever, LinkedIn, YouTube, or whatever it is literally just stating a problem that a prospect has, or like usually your prospects or audiences have, or maybe your age group, whoever you're serving has. And then after that, your video or your post is literally about the solution, right? Problem solution. Okay. And then give your insights and everything else. Okay. That's the most important. And this is the way to show your expertise. Okay, now if today you are a new advisor, you might be afraid that you might not really be a quote-unquote expert, right? But the trick here is to come from a standpoint of sharing things that you already learn or know, not to teach. So I repeat, so especially for if you don't have a lot of confidence, maybe you just started out, you're new and whatnot, right? The frame of mind where you want to go post an expertise post is to write it and share it from a viewpoint of coming from a point of like basically sharing your knowledge rather than teaching someone. Because when you teach, there's some form of expectations and some form of pressure, right? That you need to perform up to a certain standard when you teach someone. But when you share, it's totally different, right? Share is just more like, not saying that you should share misleading or wrong information, right? But it's more like, you're just sharing it because, you just want to share the good news, you want to share the knowledge, the valuable insights and everything else. So you come from a point of sharing, then people literally also kind of like perceive you as the expert already, okay? So don't worry or so much about that, okay? So whole point, like I mentioned, is to display expertise and therefore answering the question of like, do you know your stuff? Okay, so I don't think this one is too much of like an issue because like most of the time, a lot of advisors have observed, know how to post this kind of stuff. One thing that you probably can just want to improve on if you're already doing expertise posts is that you want to have more valuable insights. Like your personal insights, your perspective, not just another news feed of information, right? Because you're just going to flood the person reading it. You want to have things that are really, really of your personal insights as well, okay? So that's for number 2. Third question that people ask is like, why are you doing this, right? Like, why are you in this industry? Why are you doing financial planning, right? Or like, why are you doing what you are doing right now? Why are you helping people? Why are you doing financial planning? Why do you join the industry, etc., etc., right? So this is extremely crucial that most people don't bother doing, but like it's the make or break kind of thing as well, because in this world right now where people are just going online and making like big social media posts, people are usually kind of like skeptical, right? Because so many advisors out there, they post more or less the same thing, and then it's like, okay, so you're doing this because you want to earn money or what, right? Because there's this quote that my mentor always tell me, which is, people will always assume the worst of you if you do not tell them why you do what you do. I repeat, people will always assume the worst of you if you do not tell them why you do what you do. So for example, if you tell someone that you're a financial advisor and you don't tell them why you're doing this, or why are you a financial advisor, or whatnot, then it automatically triggers a few key assumptions and belief, right? Like, okay, your advisor equals to you want to sell stuff, you want to push, you want to hard sell, you want to whatever it is, right? And then the number of like negative connotation is just like endless. And obviously, if people feel that way about you in a not so good light, then by default, it's already hard for them to reach out to you, right? Like, they already have be skeptical about you in the first place. Okay, so this is the reason why it's crucial to kind of like tell people like, why are you here in this industry, and all that stuff. And sure, maybe you join because of the money, and I think that's fine to write it out because you're just being vulnerable and open. But of course, you want to phrase it in a way whereby, after going through, you really help people, yada yada, really feel impactful and all that stuff. Okay, now that being said, like, your post needs to be genuine, right? It cannot be like fake or like just trying to put up front, because like people can sense it. And even if you try to scam people, okay, I wouldn't say scam, but even try to like fluff people through online, when they meet you offline, which they will have to at some point in time, if they're going to be your clients, then they might feel that disconnect between your online and offline persona, right? Then this is why usually they call it fake. They say that they feel like you're fake, right? So you need to be authentic and you need to be really genuine in your post, okay? And the things are right. So basically, what I call a defining moment, right? A moment kind of like post, okay? So usually the kind of story you can tell is like, defining moments could be things that could be a transition from a previous career or job to this, right? Starting a new career in this industry, right? That's a defining moment. It could be like losing a loved one, maybe an emotionally incident with a client of yours, maybe a near-death experience that you had, and all that stuff, right? So defining moments in short, right? So the story, should relate to like not only why you're here in this career, but more importantly, like explain why you have certain beliefs and who you are as a person, right? So I think that's like kind of like the key thing that you want to do, tell basically, in short, don't have to feel overwhelmed with all these things. The key thing is just to make sure that you give people a reason, you tell them why you're doing what you do. Super crucial. Okay, super duper crucial, because if you don't, people will always assume the worst of you. And yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear, the background, but like, there are F1 jets flying around in the morning, so I do apologize for that in advance. Okay, but anyways, that's not the point. So that's number 3, why are you doing this, right? The fourth question that they have in their heads is, do I like you, right? Or like, sometimes they ask themselves, can I vibe with this person, right? Can I vibe with this person? And this is crucial, right? Because like, you see, you can have a ton of testimonials, case studies. You can be the expert. People know why you do certain things, why you're doing this. But if they find that you are a total asshole, they think that you are ridiculous, they think you are a jerk, they just don't like your face, you know what I mean? Like, they just don't like your voice and whatnot. Then what are the chances that they will even want to work with you even though you are like the best? Probably not, right? Probably the chances of it will be a lot lesser. So therefore, to answer this question, right, again, it's not about putting fake things about yourself out there to please people, but just putting yourself out there in terms of like your personality, right? Because people want to know whether can they vibe with you and can they like you or not, right? And the worst is like, if they don't even know who you are like as a person, then they probably might not even want to reach out to you in the first place, right? Because they are worried that they might not be able to vibe with you, might be awkward, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the reason why you want to put out posts that showcase your personality, right? So like I mentioned again, like this doesn't mean that we fake our personalities just so to please everyone, but rather put ourselves in a very authentic way to attract the right people to us, right? And yes, that being said, understand this, when you, let me just put it in a different color, right? Like when you attract, you also repel. And literally, this is literally just the law of the universe, right? Like when you attract, you also repel people. So when you put yourself out there, personality-wise and all that stuff, you will attract people that is similar to you, that like you and everything else. And at the same time, you're going to repel people that doesn't like you. And that's okay. And I want you to know that that's okay. It will that way. It will be that way, right? And the truth is like, whether you're on social media or not, you're already attracting and repelling certain groups of people anyways. Right, social media just helps to amplify that so that you can attract more and obviously repel people that you don't really want to work with anyways, right? Or people that don't like you, okay? So don't worry about some people not liking you and everything else, because at the end of the day, you're not here to close everybody. You're here to really attract the right group of people that will make your career very, very profitable and also make it one that's very enjoyable as well, okay? Because not everybody is going to buy from you, okay? So make sure that, you understand that when you attract, you also repel. So what are some of the things that you can put as personality posts, right? Literally like anything, right? Like few key areas. One of it is lifestyle. Maybe you go for gym every morning. Maybe you go for walks. Maybe you go for spin classes and whatnot. Maybe you go for staycations. Maybe you spend time with family and everything else. So it's kind of like lifestyle, right? And then second one can be kind of like a vulnerability post. Sorry. Yeah. So it could be, hardships that you've been through in life and career, maybe some failures that have some inner struggles and whatnot. Another one that I like that you can showcase is like your core values and beliefs, right? Who you are as a person. Maybe you believe that health is wealth, and maybe you do a post about that, right? Maybe you believe that honesty is the best policy, and therefore like you write a post or story about that, right? You also want to showcase other things, literally like your personality. Things that like maybe you're kind of serious person, maybe you're professional, maybe you're more of a comedian, right? Maybe you're more humorous in nature. Maybe you're more outgoing, you're bright, you're introverted, you're extroverted, whatever the case is, you just want to showcase that out. Okay, so don't worry about like putting on Canva. Usually personality stuff, a lot to do with image of yourself, your selfie, your family, your friends, whatever it is. Like usually that's kind of like case you can use that as an image, write the captions, all that stuff, and then I think that's kind of like gonna do it already, right? Don't have to like overcomplicate things, because the whole idea is to just show people like how kind of person you are and can they kind of like vibe with you, right? Because like if I own dogs and like some other prospect sees that I own dogs and they also have dogs, right? Then they kind of like, hey, it's a dog owner too, and then it kind of like builds a kind of like initial attraction in the first place, right? That you're also a dog lover in that sense. Okay, so that's kind of like the idea here. Now the fifth question that I have is, how do I approach this person? Okay, now this is without how do I approach this person without being the one asking? So chances are, if you have done the first four well, according to what I said, if you've done that well, right, what's going to happen is that these people are kind of like on the fence already. They kind of like want to reach out to you. They kind of like want you to be their advisor. But the problem is that they usually feel embarrassed to do so. Not everybody. Some will really reach out to you and you would already have had the effects or the results of posting effectively on social media. But there's a ton of people out there that wants to reach out, but they don't know or they do not want to be the one. It's kind of like, I'm not stereotyping, but like just generally for illustration, it's like usually the guy or the male will be the one that either propose or ask the lady whether want to be together, will you marry me, and all that stuff, or the one proposing all that stuff, right? And it's kind of like the lady will usually wait for the guy to say it or ask it, and if the guy or don't ask, the lady wouldn't ask it, but the lady will hint, right? The lady will hint, but the lady wouldn't like asking, right? It's kind of like the kind of idea. Same thing over here with prospect. Like they kind of like want to work with you. They kind of like want to reach out to you, but they just don't want to ask. Maybe they fear that once they ask, then you become some pushy agent that just want to, eat them up and all that stuff, right? Because like you need to understand that inherently in this world right now, a lot of people are cautious and skeptical about salespeople. So they also worry that, hey, yeah, you might look fantastic on social media, but if I would reach out to you, I'm worried that you might try to eat me up, right? And therefore, they always have this question in their head, which is, how do I approach this person, this advisor, without being the one asking, right? And this is really a killer. And that's why, in order to overcome that, is what you call an offer post. This is why you want to do what you call offer post, like with offer, right? The easiest way to create an offer post is actually nothing difficult at all. The easier way to create an offer post is you do a testimonial post, right? So it looks like this, right? It looks like, okay, you got an image of your client, and then you got the captions, right? Pre, during, after. And then what happens after that is then at the end over here, this is what you call a call to action, right? And a call to action could be, hey, if you want to start investment journey just like Bruno, DM me invest. Or like, if you want to find out more about how this particular new plan helps you, DM me blah blah blah, DM me plan, DM me 2023, DM me whatever it is, right? So that's kind of like what you call an offer post. In a sense, it's literally just that simple. This is literally just like how an offer post works. Okay, so that being said, we are done, right? We just ran through the 5 key pillars, and this is literally all you ever need to help you earn your money and attract the right group of people. Hopefully you get a good idea of this, because it's very painful to post a lot of content on social media trying to be an influencer and all that stuff, because I don't think that's wrong, and I think that's great, especially because a huge brand and everything else helps you get a lot more opportunities we're talking about 5, 10, 20 years down the road as an advisor. But I think especially when you first start, in the first 6, 12, even months of your social media journey, the idea isn't really to build a brand, to get more followers and all that stuff, because just having more followers and having more brand awareness and everything else doesn't mean that you will get a passive lead. The equation just doesn't work out that way, especially in the short term. And you want to ask yourself hey, are you here to be an advisor to really help people plan, or trying to be an influencer and kind of stuff, right? So at least that's, my perspective, because I do know of people that advisors, they have thousands of followers, they build a huge following and stuff like that, but in terms of business results and output, doesn't necessarily translate. In fact, they're putting a lot more work onto their brand, which is an intangible thing, but they don't really get much out in terms of tangible, in terms of recruitment, sales and whatnot. Okay, so that's kind of the big idea here. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a brand, you should still do that, but I think when you follow a tempo framework and all that stuff, it really helps you to fast track your relationship between yourself and your prospects that you want to convert into clients. And I think more importantly, it gets you better and faster results, right? So that being said, this is why for acronym, it's called TEMPO. It's called the TEMPO framework. T stands for testimonials, E is expertise, M is for defining moments, P is personality, and O is offer. Okay, so basically this is literally a tempo framework, and remember, your content exists to answer those questions in your prospect's head. Just like any one of these questions not answered, the chances of people reaching out to you is goes down a lot, right? And one more important thing is that when you post it in this sequence, in tempo, when you post it in this sequence, right, what's going to happen is that you're not going to run too much of a risk of people or your friends saying that you're spammy and all that stuff, because you're rotating, right? You're rotating different content every week, every few days and whatnot. Okay, so you won't have people feeling like you're spamming them and you just only care about what's your MDRT and all that stuff. Okay, so keep it simple, improve on it and reiterate, right? So no need to focus really on I think it's great to have aesthetically pleasing kind of posts, but I can tell you that it's also not the most important, because at the end of the day is you want to ask yourself, is the content valuable? And if the content is valuable, then that takes precedence over the aesthetics. Okay, so again, if you're already embarking on this social media game or already on it, I really hope this framework serves you. So do subscribe, comment, thoughts below. Hopefully it gets you a lot more passive leads and get you to where you want to be in your advisory career. Cheers.